Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd show you an update on a couple projects here. One is the new Helios, and two is this captain's yacht for the USS Europa, which right now I don't have it named very well. It's called the Europa-CR1 currently, but I might change the name of that. The CR1 is supposed to stand for Captain's Runabout One. Um, I didn't really come up with a great name for it, but I do have this thing pretty much fully finished, except for a little bit of detailing I want to do on it yet. Like I got to remove some grates and paint on the inside around some thrusters in various places and things like that, and little detailing stuff. But everything's kind of rigged up right now. It's got the full interior on it. I'll kind of go over the specs on what the interior has in it. It's an exploration ship, or basically a runabout. It's not really a combat ship. It's more of a utility, storage, passenger kind of ship. So anyway, here, let me adjust the lighting here. We'll get aboard this, and I'll show you the where I'm at with the Helios as well, which it's parked on right now. I'm going to go kind of dark with this. We'll see how this works out here. Let me get aboard here a minute. Here, I'm going to take off God mode a minute. So on the interior, it's largely based around just kind of utility function, being not a combat creation or a miner. But it does have two constructors aboard, a 32K storage bay, and then 1,000 ammo storage. Not K, just 1,000. It only has the two Gatling guns on it. Has 4 passenger seats. Has a armor locker, your O2, a trauma station. Here's the 4 shield parts. It's kind of balanced right now, so you got 2 chargers and 2 banks with that. It does have places to add in additional advanced CPU cores, so you can add in 3 more advanced CPU cores. It does have places to add a couple more, or actually 4 more shield parts in these kind of overhead compartments over on the sides. It does have a food processor, a couple fridges. Everything's kind of automated with sensors and things like that. If you walk back here, it opens up the back door and ramp, and the 2 side doors will open up over here, just walking in the center. And then you do have a drone hatch up here as well that will automatically open up too. So this kind of works out pretty good if you do want to deploy a drone quickly. If you get out of the passenger seat, you can pretty much instantly deploy a drone. So it's one of those kind of things. It does have a warp drive, does have long range radar. The shield on here is a heavy shield as well. It's using 1 basic, 2 improved, and 2 advanced CPU cores in it right now. If we take a look at some specs here, overall we're size class 1.3. It does 71 forward, 18 strafing, 118 lift, 46 reverse, and 10 down. 3 hour and 15-minute build time. Does have the 2 Gatling guns, the long range radar, 6 fuel tanks, 5 oxygen tanks. Does have 4 1x3 generators. I believe if you add the additional shield parts, the extra 4 shield parts, and the CPU for that, you do not need to put in any more power generation. I did put in 4 1x3 Reforged Eden generators in the ship. CPU wise, it's set over at 39,000, using just a little bit under that, 38,261 CPU. So it can handle some pretty good gravity. I believe it shouldn't really have much of a problem moving the 32K storage that it does have on it. And that's kind of about it. So it's not a very big ship, especially after I added in the 32K storage bay in it. That filled up a lot of room. It's amazing how much room you fill up on an SV with storage for that. Keep in mind this would be a pretty big storage bay if it was a CV, but well, I think it would be more than 320K. The way SV storage is, it's like you need 2 to 4 times as many to equal the same smaller amount. It's weird, but I literally filled up, like, there is no like spare blocks anywhere on the sides of this ship. It's all filled with cargo extensions, but they're all internal as well. So it does have a steel outer hull on it. So there is no outside cargo extensions that are exposed to the outside, essentially. All right. Anyway, that is that. So let me show you what I've been working on with the Helios as well. Now, for whatever reason, like, you see how the thruster's on, it's really kind of driving me nuts because it's totally landing fine. But the game today doesn't feel like turning off the thrusters after you land. So I don't know why it does that quite a bit sometimes. Anyway, on the Helios, I've been working on some things on this. To start with here, let's try to get a little bit of lighting going on. Towards the front of the ship here, God, I guess this lighting's not great either. I was trying to find a area where I could get good shadowing and stuff on it, but I thought I'd bring it down to the planet, see how it would work out. But I did do what I said I was going to do last time, and I replaced these ramp doors that were over here with a big force field instead. And I like the idea of the force field better. Obviously, it allows for the full 5 blocks coming in and out, which is great. The ramp doors would actually consume like a block space here where these don't. So that is kind of how the center hangar area is set up. Now, I also been working on kind of another revision to some of the mounting of these front thruster pods, and I'm still not done with these front thruster pods. I don't like them a whole lot. Well, I don't mind them, but I gotta find a relation between the front and the big rear ones that I do have in place now, and I kind of worked on a little bit more framework in this general area. It's still missing a lot of blocks in a lot of places yet, so it'll get there. So going to the back of the ship here, I did put in a really big thruster housing setup here, and right now I've got it just kind of equipped with all the big thrusters currently. So it's going to have the same 10 XLs forward as the original Helios. A lot of these thrusters are going to be either downsized or removed when I release the ship, and there'll be like grates or something in there in its place, but it is capable of more strafing as well. I even used XL thrusters for a down thruster, which I'm sure this will be cut and replaced with like a 2x4 thruster instead. Now these back room areas are very similar to that of the Helios, or well, big thruster areas, but I needed a lot of space for this because I need to add some bigger parts into the ship that the original Helios didn't have, such as small and medium shield parts. There was some talk too, and it started making sense to me a little bit. At first, I was pretty much dead set against having a fusion reactor in this, but I think I will leave opportunity to put one in this ship. It might be a better way to go versus a whole bunch of advanced generators. And these rooms over here have the height and the space to fit some pretty serious parts, actually. If I were to wall it off going right along the side of this little framework over here, I've got, I think it's a good 6 blocks tall in here, plus a lot of open area on either side. So obviously I got to fit a warp drive in the main shield and stuff like that, but I will have room for all the other parts and upgrades and things like that in the engineering sections on the ship. Now this is going to be a little bit bigger back here than what the Helios was interior space-wise, and that is largely because I got to fit a lot more parts than I had to fit in the Helios. So that's one of those things there. So some other talk about module bays and conventional bays that would have open hangar doors and things like that to them. I was thinking about that, and I could honestly fix the problem if I just do a modification. And unfortunately, I wanted to like set up this area over here where these actually 5 module bays would be at for a little bit of production and things like that. But there are some modules that were made to unload things from the front side of them, and what I wanted to do is first I'll mimic the same size opening doors as what the Helios had, and this area here, although it's I think it's 7 blocks wide now. Did I got that right? Just want to make sure. 7 blocks wide. It would be very easy for me to widen that up another couple blocks to make it 9 blocks wide by simply copying and pasting these sections and putting them out one more block out in that direction. and then kind of leave the area open again, like I did with the original Helios. It's really about the only thing I can do to accommodate some modules that do have the front loading mechanism on them, standard size modules, and not like the dropship module that was kind of made for that. So that would be an easy solution. So I know there's modules already made that do that kind of function. So I don't want to like say, oh, it can't work with the new Helios. So yeah, I think it would be kind of a small thing to do to actually just widen that up a little bit. That'll give it a 9-block width, which is, it's probably even good at 7 blocks where it's at right now. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with this ship right now. It is flyable. Of course, it's using quite a lot of CPU right now with all these big XL thrusters installed everywhere on it. It does land as well. There's some more talk about using blast doors for a landing mechanism. See, it's kind of a two-way street with that, though. One, it's if I use that. First, I think it looks really ugly if you land, but you don't. It more or less would look like it hovers because technically they're always extended down collision-wise, even when they're not. So, say I installed those somewhere on the ship, which I could pretty much hide them. Basically, it would just prevent it from landing, and once you would get close to the ground, whatever the length of the blast doors would be, is where it would just stop and just kind of sit there. It'll be technically on the ground, but not, it wouldn't give you access to any of the hangar bays, but you're not really going to get that on this ship from the ground anyway. I don't think the first Helios did that very well either. It was, again, not really meant for that. Here, I'm going to just set it down on the ground a second, and this is a pretty flat area that I'm on too, so about as flat as I've seen. But in this setup here, it does actually land pretty good with the installed landing gear on here. It is raised up a little bit, but once you get those modules in place, some of those modules will dip down some more, and that could cause you some problems as well. And the only thing I can really do about that is either go with the blast doors for that, which to be honest, I really don't want to do it with the blast doors. I know it works. It's just, I think it would cause a lot more problems. I'd rather have it, if you are going to land it, to be able to land on like some legit landing gear for like realism. And with the blast doors, I would basically just kind of set it up so it kind of hovers over the ground, basically, when you go down to the surface. So, yeah, anyway, please let me know what you think. And again, I'm still trying to modify everything. I took yesterday. This took doing the interior and everything took longer than I thought it was going to do. So I really wanted to get more work done on this ship yesterday as well. But I ended up finishing this off instead. So I really didn't touch the Helios at all yesterday. Hopefully I'll get a little time to work on it later tonight. But I think for the most part, it should work out. It is, I think, still a little bit of a lighter frame design versus the original Helios. It's going to have better upgrade opportunities, especially for thrusters in some of the directions. Not all the directions. Like the forward thrust is the same, but you'll be able to put in a whole lot more reverse thrust and even additional strafing thrust and things like that. So for the most part, it'll be a little bit capable of maneuvering better than the original Helios. And not to mention it's going to be made of carbon this time, except for some protected areas where I decided to put the more expensive parts and maybe a little bit of protection around wherever all the CPU cores and things like that go as well. My only real debate now is whether I should widen this area up here by a couple more blocks to give it a 9-block width instead of 7. Originally it had 5, and I already brought them out one more block just to try to accommodate things coming in and out of Helios modules from the front side. And again, I would have to put not have like a little door here, but actually put in like the bigger open ramp that I did on the first Helios. So I'll probably mimic that same size and design. So any modules that were made for the Helios would be the same compatibility as the new Helios, whatever this gets called. It'll probably still have the name Helios, and it just might be different acronym or something, or Helios 2 or something along those lines. Now, one thing I do have to figure out how to get installed on here and nicely is a lot of drone defense and turrets and things like that. I was brought up in the last video that this is probably not a great spot for a turret over here because it would kind of draw fire mainly towards this thruster assembly. But here's the big thing with this. Of course, I could add in some like turrets on the top side over here, and maybe I will in the corners. But I'm trying to keep this whole top area obstruction free. In other words, if I had turrets sticking out of it and you're trying to land a big complicated CV to land on here, they could get in the way. Even like the turret over here is dropped down below the, or basically so it's level with the landing deck on here. And I did that on purpose, but it's hard to find positions to add those kind of turrets to it without like using the landing deck, because obviously there's a huge amount of area up on the landing deck. And I just, if I did add turrets to it, and I probably will end up doing that, but they're going to probably be as most in the most out of the way places I possibly could put them on the landing deck. But I do like the idea better even of sinking them down a little bit. But again, it's going to need quite a bit of area drone protection around it. And my first idea got kind of blown out of the water of using a lot of sentry guns, as it appears they do not have the range needed to make this happen very well. So that's another thing there. But anyway, this is where it's at. Sorry, not quite as much done as I wanted to get done, but I was putting this off, and I was like, I got to get this thing done. So it's about there, and I'll get it out to the workshop and whatnot and stuff like that. So other than that, that's all I've got today. If you notice anything else or any suggestions, recommendations, please let me know again. Nothing's finalized on this ship yet. There's so many changes that are going to be made yet. Like back over here, I really haven't quite figured out exactly how I want these thruster housings to even look yet. Now, I also made... This ship is a little bit bigger again, too. It had a slight size increase because these back thruster areas took up a lot of space, and originally the landing deck stopped right about where the ends of these do, and it looked kind of dumb, and I wanted that landing deck to extend over it. I also tried some nacelle idea when I was building this part out of having these more flush with the surface and then kind of a bigger, longer, almost Star Trek-like kind of thruster assembly on it. I thought it looked really dumb, though. I tried it. It wasn't working out. I like the design on the original Helios better, where these big thruster units were sitting below the deck, kind of like what's going on now here again. So, again, a lot of a trial and error and experimentation on all this stuff, but the original design, or these are almost the same shape as what's on the first Helios. It's just they're set up to accommodate some larger thrusters in place and things like that. So that is where it's at right now. Hopefully, hopefully it gets all finished up and looks nice at some point here. But right now it's still a big time work in progress, and it's going to be a lot of changes yet going on here. One last little detail I was looking at too is I've got this 22.5 angle for the rear thrusters, and these front thruster pods don't conform to that shape at all. So there's no continuity between the front and the rear thrusters right now, and that's bugging me a little bit. But at the same time, the front thruster pods are, especially if I keep them symmetrical on both sides, I've got very limited space to work with. Like there's a module bay just past where this thruster is right here on this side, but the other side doesn't have that. But yeah, it's a weird setup on how it's working out, and I didn't really want to build like unnecessary walls. I'm trying to get a little bit of detail stuff in there with like some framing and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of rough. I don't know what other kind of design I could use for the front thruster pods and to actually make it work and fit in the space that it needs to fit into and stuff like that. So anyway, I'll shut up finally. You all have yourself a great day. I'll talk to you later.